Hello, everyone. Welcome to your lordships. Uh, Today, in the continuation of the last lecture, where I have given the overview of right of private defense, I'm going to cover right of private defense of body. What are the limitations to it? How right of private defense of body is exercised? What is the scope of right of private defense of body? That we will cover in today's lecture. So, starting with the point, with section 96, things done in private defenses, nothing is an offense which is done in exercise of right of private defense. So if your case is covered in right of private defense, it cannot be considered to be an offense as it is given in section 96. That is just a declaration clause. Now next is section 97. So first we have to know, if a question is asked on right of private defense of body, what are the sections that we are going to explain? See, in your mains examination, if the question is asked, explain right of private defense of body, so first you should have a framework in your mind that what sections you are going to explain. So section 96, that is a common provision. You are going to explain it in right of private defense of body because it is a declaration that nothing is an offense which is done in exercise of right of private defense. Okay. Now section 97 clause 1. So the sections are, first 96 you will explain, 97 clause 1 you will explain, then section 98 you will explain, then you will jump to section 100, and then 101 and 102. Apart from that, there is one more section. Generally, we miss that section, and that is section 106. Because that also gives a right of private defense of body against an innocent person. And then in the last, if you get time and if it is asked that what are the limitations of right of private defense of body, then you are supposed to write section 99. So you will have to manage your time accordingly, and then you will have the framework that yes, these sections I am going to explain. Accordingly, you will have to write. So first, one by one, we'll discuss these sections. See, section 97 clause 1, it provides for the scope of right of private defense of body. It provides for the scope of right of private defense of body, means when you are going to exercise right of private defense of body. Now see what is given in this section. It says right body and of property, but since today in today's lecture we are going to cover the topic right of private defense of body, so I'll explain what is the scope of right of private defense of body. Now see, every person has a right. If you can see on a screen, every person has a right subject to the restrictions contained in section 99. So see, every right that is given to you is subject to the restrictions mentioned in section 99 that we'll also discuss. Okay, subject to the restrictions mentioned in section 99. So if your case is covered in any of the clauses of section 99, then you are not supposed to exercise right of private defense. So every person has a right. Now here every person means be it a foreigner, Indian citizen, every person. You are a prisoner, every person has a right to defend. Now see, it is given to defend. What does it mean? To defend means it is a defensive right. You cannot use it for the purpose of launching an attack. You cannot use it for the purpose of taking a revenge, because it is given in the law. Every person has a right to defend. So it's a defensive right. Right of private defense is a defensive right. It can never be used for the purpose of revenge, for the purpose of launching an attack, for the purpose of doing assault to someone. That means always there must be the first attack from the side of other person. Then only you will get this right. Then only you can exercise this right. It's a defensive right. Every person has a right to defend. Now see, the first clause is talking about right of private defense of body. So in examination, you don't have to write whole section 97. You are only supposed to write section 97 and first clause. That is, every person has the right to defend his own body. Now see what is written, his own body. Okay. And if you see carefully, with the comma, the word and is there. It is not or. The word and is there. His own body and the body of any other person. And the body of any other person. So sometimes in preliminary examination, question is asked whether right of private defense of body can be exercised in favor of an stranger, or can you exercise right of private defense to save the body of a stranger person? The answer would be yes, because it is given in the scope of right of private defense. Unlike England, where you cannot exercise right of private defense of body or property in favor of a stranger person. In favor of a stranger, you cannot exercise right of private defense of body. In England, the rule is different. In England, you can only exercise right of private defense to save your own body and property. But in India, as per IPC under section 97 first clause, it is clearly given his own body, he has a right to defend, and the body of any other person against any offense. Now see, it says against any offense affecting human body. Against any offense affecting human body. Now what is against any offense affecting human body? If you see chapter 16 in your Bayer Act, if you have got the Bayer Act, you can refer chapter 16. Now see, offenses affecting human body. So it is very simple to remember what is offenses affecting human body. In your answer, if you write this thing, particular thing, that every person has a right to defend his body and the body of any other person, even if you write in your own language, that the person can defend his own body and the body of any stranger person as per section 97 clause 1 against any offense affecting human body that is provided under chapter 16 of IPC, Indian Penal Code 1860, that starts from section 299 and goes up to section 377. It starts with section 299 and goes up to section 377. In between, all those offenses that are mentioned, that are given, you will have the right of private defense against those offenses only. Not exercise right of private defense against any other offense. Now the question comes, suppose in interview, if examiner asks this question to you, because they generally ask these questions, that why only against these offenses right of private defense of body is provided? Why not in any other offenses? Why not in any other offenses? So the simple answer is, see, right of private defense of body or property for that matter is given where a state cannot help you, where a state cannot provide you the security. It is a matter of imminent danger. So these are the offenses where there is imminent danger to your body. These are the offenses where there is imminent danger to your body. That is why only against the offenses affecting human body, your right of private defense is given, is available. Is it clear to you? So the scope of right of private defense is, you can exercise right of private defense against your own body and body of any other person. If I'm standing at a bus stop and somebody has attacked on the person who is standing beside me, so I can exercise right of private defense in his favor to save his body also, as per section 97 first clause. Sometimes in your prelims examination, the question is umbrella rule of right of private defense. What is the umbrella rule? Or under which section umbrella rule is given? So that is section 97 only. Because it provides an umbrella that it covers your body as well as the body of any other person as well. So if within this ambit of umbrella of section 97 covered, you can exercise right of private defense, and then as per section 96, it will not be considered to be an offense. Is it clear to you? Now please come to section 98. Now see, even if this question is asked in your mains examination, you just have to explain the sections. Even if you can explain in your own language, you explain the section, provide case laws on it, 1 or 2, and just conclude your answer. And it will be a very good answer to write on this point. Now see section 98. right of private defense against the act of a person of unsound mind, etc. So it is not only unsound mind, etc. Okay. Now, why this section is given, I'll tell you the reason. When we have section 97 that provides a scope of right of private defense of body, okay, that is every person has a right subject to restrictions contained in section 99 to defend his own body and the body of any other person against any offense. It is written against any offense, right? Now, if you see this section 98, I'm giving you one example. Suppose there is a child who is below 7 years of age and that child attacks on you. Okay, he attacks on you. So is the attack that is made by that child below 7 years of age an offense in IPC? Obviously, you all must be knowing no, because he or she is covered under section 82 that says nothing is an offense which is done by a child below 7 years of age, right? Now, when that child attacks on you and that the act of that child is not an offense, can you exercise right of private defense of body? Because under section 97, if you see in section 97, under section 97, it is clearly given that you have a right to defend his own body and the body of any other person against any offense, affecting the human body. So when the attack that is done against you is not an offense, how can you exercise right of private defense? So just to fill this gap, that this particular provision should not be misused, section 98 has been inserted. Section 98 is there. Now see what does it provide for? Right of private defense against an act of a person of unsound mind, etc. When an act which would otherwise be a certain offense, is not that offense. It may be an offense, but it is not an offense by reason of youth. That is, the case is covered under section 82 and 83 defense. Want of maturity of understanding, section 83. Unsoundness of mind, the person is incapable of knowing the nature and consequence of his act because of unsoundness. His case is covered under section 84. Again, he is covered in some of the defenses. Or the intoxication of the person doing that act. His case is covered under section 85, 86 of IPC. Again, his act cannot be considered to be an offense. Or by reason of any misconception on the part of that person, his case is covered either under section 76 or 79, mistake of fact, misconception. Okay. Every person has the same right of private defense. Now every person has the same right of private defense against that act which would have if the act were that offense. Every person has the same right of private defense against that act which he would have if the act were that offense. So this section simply says, irrespective of the fact whether the act of other person is not an offense. But yes, you have to keep this in mind, that the act of the other person is not an offense because his act is covered in any of the defenses in IPC. His case is already covered in any of the defenses of chapter 4. Then only it cannot be a case of right offense. Okay, generally it should not be because it is offense now. But still, as per section 98, even if you exercise your right of private defense, it will not be considered that your right has been exceeded, because or you have not exercised your right of private defense against any offense, because in scope it is given only offenses affecting human body you can exercise right of private defense. But as per section 98, every person has, if you see the last line, every person has the same right of private defense against that act which he would have if the act were that offense. So even in those cases, you will have the same right of private defense to protect your body or property, as the case may be. Am I clear to you? You can see the illustration Z under the influence of madness attempts to kill A. Z is guilty of no offense, but A has the same right of private defense which he would have if Z were sane. Right? Now, please come to section 100. In the last, I'll be explaining what are the limitations to it. Section 100, please. When the right of private defense of body extends to causing death. Now, this is the maximum right that is provided to you while exercising right of private defense of body. Okay. Previously, there were 6 clauses, but after 2013 amendment, now there are 7 clauses. Okay. Now see, the right of private defense of body extends under the restrictions mentioned in the last preceding section. Right of private defense of body extends under the restrictions mentioned in the last preceding section. Restriction mentioned in last preceding section means your limitation that is given in section 99. So again, even this right is subject to section 99 limitation that we'll be discussing. The right of private defense of body extends under the restrictions mentioned in the last preceding section to the voluntary causing of death. The language of law. Voluntary causing of death. Voluntary causing of death. Intentionally you are causing the death. Okay. You know that you are going to cause death. Or of any other harm to the assailant. Now see the wordings. Assailant. It is assailant. That means first there must be some assault from the side of other person because this is a defensive right. That is why the word used is assailant. Okay. So that means first some assault has already been committed against you. The right of private defense of body extends under the restrictions mentioned in the last preceding section to the voluntary causing of death or of any other harm to the assailant if the offense which occasions the exercise of right be of any of the descriptions hereinafter enumerated. The assault that has been committed against you, it is of such a nature that is covered in any of the clauses given hereinafter. That is given hereinafter. So if in any of the clauses, the assault that is done against you, that is covered. अगर first से लेके 7 तक कि किसी भी एक टाइप का assault आपके against हो रहा है. So in that case, you can exercise your right of private defense against the assailant to the extent of causing death or any other harm. अगर आप चाहें तो आप उसकी डेथ भी कर सकते हैं उस केस में. ठीक है. Now for those occasions, first, such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension that death will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. Now see the language. Just focus on the language. Such an assault as may reasonably cause. It should not be unreasonable. Reasonably cause means every normal person would think that yes, now the assault is of such a nature that I'm going, to be hurt, or I'm going to be assaulted in such a manner that death will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. Now see, death will otherwise be the consequence. The language is otherwise be the consequence. What does it mean? It means if you will not exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing the death of assailant or any other harm to the assailant, otherwise the consequence of such assault would be your death. That is the apprehension. I'm repeating it. If you will not exercise your right of private defense to the extent of causing death of the person voluntarily, otherwise result would be your death. That is the reasonable apprehension. कि अगर आपने right of private defense death cause करने तक exercise नहीं किया, तो जो reasonable apprehension है वो क्या है? संभावना ये है कि आपकी death हो जाएगी. In that case, you can exercise your right of private defense. Like I'll give you one example. Suppose I have, I have taken out pistol and targeted towards you. Okay. Now there is reasonable apprehension. If you will not exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing my death or any other harm to me, so next moment I might shoot you, or you may be shot dead. Once I'll fire and you will be hit by the bullet, you won't be in a situation to exercise right of private defense. That is the reason they are writing such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension that death will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. Okay. Now see the second clause. Secondly, such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension that grievous hurt will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. If you will not exercise right of private defense of body to the extent of causing death, then in that case, grievous hurt, that is explained in section 320 of IPC. So whenever you write your answer in mains examination on this, if any term is there that is defined in IPC, so better you quote that section. Suppose if it is given such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension that grievous hurt will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. So hurt, you can just put in bracket section P IPC. So that will give, an edge to your answer, that the student knows what is grievous hurt that is given in section 320. So such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension that the grievous hurt will otherwise be the consequence of such assault. If you'll not exercise right of private body to the extent, then in that case, the otherwise result would be grievous hurt. Your bone may be fractured, your skull may be fractured, your face may be disfigured. Okay. Thirdly, an assault with the intention of committing rape. An assault with the intention of rape. Now you can see the difference between clause first, secondly, and thirdly. In first and secondly clause, it is given such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension. Reasonably cause the apprehension. Okay. But in thirdly clause, if you see, it is written an assault with the intention of committing rape. Only apprehension is not sufficient. Only reasonable apprehension is not sufficient. Rather, the person who has exercised the right of private defense, that person is required to prove that the situation was such, the assault was such, that clearly shows the intention of the assailant, that his intention is to commit rape, not the reasonable apprehension. Okay. Rather, intention has to be there. The burden of proof will be more from the side of the person who has exercised right of private defense, or you can say the woman. आपको circumstance ऐसे prove करनी पड़ेगी कि उसका intention था rape commit करने का, कोई apprehension नहीं हो रहा था वहां पे. For example, if a girl is all alone in a classroom or in a room, and the person enters into the room and locks the room, only at this point of time, if the girl has exercised right of private defense to the extent of causing death, that is not justified. Yes, the moment he locked the room and his gestures are such, okay, that that shows that he is going to do something very bad, and now he starts unbuttoning his shirt. Now it shows the intention of that person to commit rape. So now she can exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. Okay. So that is the part and parcel of proving. The only point that I wanted to explain, that here it is not the reasonable apprehension, rather the intention you have to prove. You have to establish that the intention was to commit rape. Assault was of such a nature that established the intention clearly. So in that case, you can exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing. Now see the fourth clause. An assault with the intention of gratifying unnatural lust. Okay. So again, an assault with of gratifying unnatural, that is your section 377 offenses. Okay. So even in that case, any person, male or female, man or woman, because it can be done against both, can exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. Now, fifthly, an assault with the intention of kidnapping or abducting. An assault with the intention of kidnapping or abducting. Now, there is one point I would like to explain. Now, see, it is written an assault with the intention of kidnapping or abducting. Now, if there is assault, that the intention of kidnapping or abducting, then only you will exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. To the extent of causing death. Okay. It is not only that there is kidnapping or abduction and you can exercise right of private defense. Assault. Why the word assault with the intention of kidnapping and abducting? Because if the assault is with the force, with criminal force, then only you will exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. I'll tell you the reason. You must be knowing, if you have once read, you have read law. In case of kidnapping or abduction, there are two modes by which it can be done. Okay, I can show it to you. If you see the definition of kidnapping from lawful guardianship, okay, from lawful guardianship, if you see the kidnapping from lawful guardianship, whoever takes or entices, it is given over here. Taking means forceful taking without force taking. Okay, as you can see in movies, when they kidnap someone, when they abduct someone. Okay, though that is very confusing, at what point of time there is abduction and what point of time there is kidnapping. Anyway, so takes and entices. My point is, in take there might be force, assault against your body, but when it comes to enticement, there is no assault, there is no force against your body. So assault with the intention of kidnapping and abduction means only those cases of kidnapping and abduction where there is taking with force, or those cases of abduction where there is abduction by force. Then only you can exercise right of private defense of body under section 100. Am I clear to you? क्योंकि ये right आपको क्यों दिया है? Why this right is given to you? Because there is apprehension that there is danger to your body. When there is no danger to your body, how can you exercise right of private defense, that too to the extent of causing death? You can't do that. So these are very small points, though this question might be asked at the interview level, but you should know it. Okay. So again, an assault with the intention of kidnapping or abducting, in that case, you can exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. Sixthly, an assault with the intention of wrongfully confining a person under a circumstances which may reasonably cause him to apprehend that he will be unable to have recourse to the public authorities for his release. I have been locked in a room within four, walls. Okay. And I do not have any, mode of communication. If I have got a mobile phone with me, I cannot exercise right of private defense under 60 clause to the extent of causing death. Why? Because I can call police. I can I can dial 112 or 100 that I have been confined. I have been, wrongfully restrained by someone in this area. So their police might come and help you. Are you getting the point? Right? But if I do not have any recourse to the public authority, okay, I cannot approach any public authority. I do not have any mobile phone. I do not have any means of communication. And I have been locked within the four walls, okay, four corners of a particular room. So in that case, I cannot exercise the right of private defense. In that case, you will exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. Even if you have been locked at 10th floor, 20th floor, but you have got a mobile phone or a basic phone, okay, obviously in, working condition, then you cannot exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death, okay, for your release, because easily you can have the help of public authorities. Now see, 7th clause, an act of throwing or administering acid, or an attempt to throw or administer acid. Now, do you find any difference? In first two clauses, such an assault as may reasonably cause the apprehension. After that, three clauses, such an assault with the intention of committing rape or kidnapping, okay, and then such an assault with the intention of wrongfully confining a person. Now, in 7th clause, it says an act of throwing or administering. Assault की बात नहीं कर रहा है, act होना चाहिए. throwing or administering acid, or an attempt to throw or administer acid, which may reasonably cause the apprehension that grievous hurt will otherwise be the consequence of such act. Grievous hurt. So now this particular clause has been added after Nirbhaya rape case, after the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013. This particular clause has been inserted, keeping in mind the rising cases of, increasing number of cases of acid attacks. Okay. So now in case of an act of throwing or administering acid, or attempt to throw or administer acid, okay, if there is an act, whether with the intention of causing grievous hurt or not, if the act is there, because that itself is a very dangerous act. If act is there or attempt is there, whatever may be the intention, you can exercise right of private defense against the person to the extent of causing death. So these are the 7 conditions, 7 circumstances where you can exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death. Okay, voluntarily. If you see, though your purpose is to defend, but voluntarily you are causing the death. So this is justified under these 7 circumstances. Okay. Now see section 101. I'll just explain these sections and then I'll be taking up the questions. Okay, if you have any. 101, when such right extends to causing any harm other than death. So if offense be not of any of the descriptions enumerated in the last preceding section, the right of private defense of body does not extend to voluntary causing of death. Does not extend to voluntary causing of death to the assailant, but does extend under the restrictions mentioned in section 99 to the voluntary causing to the assailant any other harm other than death. Now, generally, if you see or if you read a book, I have found even in good books that they have directly written that under section 109, you can exercise right of private defense of body to the extent of causing harm other than death. That is not the meaning of section 101. If you read the provision carefully, okay, if the offense be not of any of the descriptions enumerated in the last preceding section, if your assault or if the act is not covered, the act that is done against you is not covered in any of the sections that is given from 1st to 7th, any of the sections that is given from 1st to 7th clause, then in that case, you cannot exercise right of private defense to the extent of causing death, to the extent of causing voluntary death. Now read this carefully, this point. The right of private defense of body does not extend to voluntary causing of death to the assailant. It does not mean that while exercising 101, death cannot be caused. Suppose somebody has attacked me from behind, has done something, trying to kidnap or something, okay? And I exercise my right of private defense. I just picked up one stone, and then just to make sure that I should be released properly, I have hit that person on his head. I've hit that person on his head. Now, my intention was not to cause voluntary death of that person. But if that injury resulted into death, that is covered in 101. Why? Because your case is not of the description that is covered in section 100. जो उसका act है, वो section 100 में fall नहीं कर रहा है. Still, if because of your act, because of your injury, the injury proved fatal and it resulted into his death. So even in that case, this causing death involuntary will be justified under section 101. So writing plainly that causing death under section 101 is not allowed, that is wrong. You will try to cause any other harm. Voluntarily you are not causing death. But if because of any other harm, it results into death, that is justified in 101. Get you? That is why it says the right of private defense of body does not extend to the voluntary causing of death. Involuntary death is included in 101. Right? So that you should know. If you are writing something on 101, you are supposed to explain it and underline it, highlight it, so that the examiner should see it, that yes, this is the point that will make you different from others. That voluntary causing death is not allowed, but involuntary death is still covered in 101. Death is covered in 101. It's not like that only any other harm other than death is covered. Even death is covered, but that should not be a voluntary one. Right? Now, the next point is section 102, commencement and continuation of the right of private defense of body. The right of private defense of body commences as soon as reasonable apprehension of danger to the body arises from an attempt or threat to commit the offense, though the offense may not have been committed. It simply says your right of private defense of body starts from the moment reasonable apprehension of danger to your body. You only have to write reasonable apprehension from reasonable apprehension of danger to your body arises from an attempt or threat to an attempt. I have got a pistol. You observe that I have a pistol in my pouch, and what I'm doing, I'm telling you that if you leave this place, I'm going to shoot you. And then I have opened my pouch. Will you wait till the time I'll take out my gun and shoot you? No. Yes, reasonable apprehension of death will come, I'll take out the gun. But yes, your right of defense has commenced. Okay? Your right of private defense has commenced. You can cause any other harm so that any injury cannot be caused to you. So the moment there is a threat, there is an attempt to commit an offense by which your right of private defense, commences. At that particular time, your right of private defense will start. Okay, if there is reasonable apprehension of danger to your body. Okay, suppose 10% have surrounded you. Okay, they have just surrounded you. Will you wait till the time they start beating you up, or you will exercise your right of private defense? Because now there is reasonable apprehension. Okay, the moment there will be an attempt, your right of private defense shall commence. So it starts from the very moment, as soon as reasonable apprehension of danger to the body arises. Okay, though the offense may not have been committed. So for exercise of right of private defense, you need not wait for the commission of the offense. If there is threat, reasonable apprehension or attempt, your right of private defense will start. You can exercise right of private defense and the same will be justified. And it continues as long as such apprehension of danger to the body continues. It continues as long as such apprehension of the danger to the body continues. Okay, you exercised your right of private defense and tried to escape. Okay, you have hidden yourself under a table, under a chair or somewhere. Still you have got your right of private defense because danger is still there, it persists. It's not like that since you try to hide yourself, so your right of private defense has come to an end. No, it will still, till the time your danger will continue reasonably, even if it is not within your sight, even if it is not within your reach. But if there is an apprehension, suppose there is a building and the people are there in the building, you will have right of private defense till that time. Yes, when properly you will feel now the danger has disappeared, you have seen the person leaving the premises, leaving your house, they have left, and they have gone to a considerable distance. Now your right of private defense will come to an end. Okay, so it will start with the reasonable apprehension of danger to your body, and it will continue till that reasonable apprehension continues. The moment this apprehension disappears, now it will come to an end. Right? See, these things you don't have to explain in detail in your examination. इसमें इतना लिख दीजिए बहुत है. Now one more section I'll explain, and then I'll come to the limitation part, and then I'll be taking of the questions. Now, since we missed section 106 while explaining right of body, but that is very important. Now see, section 106, right of private defense against deadly assault. Deadly assault. See, it uses the word assault. That means it is against the body only. Right of private defense against deadly assault when there is risk of harm to innocent person. This is the maximum right which could be given by the law to you. Till now, you are exercising your right of private defense of body against the assailant. Now, you exercise your right of private of body even against an innocent person who has not done anything against you. But that is there. And under what circumstance this right you can exercise? Let's see. If in the exercise of the right of private defense against an assault, which reasonably causes, if in the exercise of the right of private defense against an assault, which reasonably causes the apprehension of death, reasonably causes the apprehension of death. Okay. The defender so situated means you are in such a situation, so situated that he cannot effectually, now see the words, you cannot effectually exercise that right. You cannot effectually exercise that right without risk of harm to an innocent person. You cannot effectually exercise that right without risk of harm to an innocent person. His right of private defense extends to the running of that risk. Suppose a mob has attacked on me. Okay. Now I have to fire. I cannot pick and choose and then fire that against whom I should fire, who is more violent in that mob. Suppose there is one person, there is one innocent child in that mob. Now I cannot exercise my right of private defense properly, effectively, unless I take the risk of that innocent child's life. Because yes, if I fire randomly, so in that case, there might be a situation that might hit the child as well. Are you getting the point? That might hit the child as well. So in that case, law says your right of private defense will extend to that risk. You will have to explain that yes, without taking the risk of innocent life, I was not in a situation to exercise my right of private defense properly, because the moment I start, doing pick and choose that, all right, let me see who is more violent, who is coming towards me, by that time you will be killed. जब तक आप ये सोचेंगे कि किसको मारूं किसको ना मारूं, तब तक तो जो अटैक कर रहे हैं, deadly assault है ये, deadly, where there is a risk of death only apprehension of death, यहाँ पे लिखा है ना, apprehension of death. So that means apprehension of death only apprehension of death and nothing else. सिर्फ apprehension of death होना चाहिए और कुछ नहीं. Am I clear to you? Then in that case, section 106 will be exercised. You can see the illustration. A is attacked by a mob who attempt to murder him. He cannot effectually exercise his right of private defense without firing on the mob. And he cannot fire without risk of harming young children who are mingled with the mob. A commits no offense if by so firing, he harms any of the children. He harms any of the children. So that is the maximum right that is given to you by the law while exercising your right of private defense of body. Please, if this question is asked in your examination on right of private defense of body, do not miss section 106. Do write section 106 because that is related to right of private defense of body. Now come back to the limitation part. What are the limitations? Now see, section 99 provides the limitation when you cannot exercise right of act against which there is no right of private defense. There is no right of private defense against an act which does not reasonably cause the apprehension of death or of grievous hurt, if done or attempted to be done by a public servant acting in good faith under the color of his office. Under the color of his office means he is discharging his duty. Okay. Though that act may not strictly judgeable by the law. Simply, you cannot exercise right of private defense against a public servant who is discharging his duty in good faith, though his act may not strictly be justifiable by law. A policeman asked you for driving license. His act is not strictly justifiable. You cannot exercise right of private defense against him. You can complain to other authority, but you cannot exercise right of private defense against him. Okay. There is no right of private defense against an act does not reasonably cause the apprehension of grievous hurt, if done or attempted to be done by the direction of a public servant acting in good faith under the color of his office, though that direction may not strictly be justifiable by the law. You cannot exercise right of defense against a public servant. Also, you cannot exercise your right of private defense against a person who is acting on the direction of public servant. If you can exercise right of private defense against a police officer, you cannot exercise right of private defense against his driver as well. Though driver may be a private party, may not be from police force. If he's acting under the direction, and you cannot exercise right of private defense against a constable. You cannot exercise right of private defense against a a guard, private guard, if they are acting under the direction of a public servant, right? There is no right of private defense in case in which there is time to have recourse to the protection of public authority. See, the very basis of right of private defense, in the last lecture I told you, the very basis of right of private defense is when a state cannot give you protection on individual basis. That is why state has given you the right that if we cannot protect you, you can help yourself, you can protect your own body and property. So if you have got time to have recourse to the protection of public authorities, in that case, you cannot exercise right of private defense. If somebody has given you the threat that I'm coming in 2 hours to kill you, so you cannot just wait and then you assemble so many people of your area to, let him come and then I'll show him who I am. This is not right of private defense, irrespective of the fact that he has come and he attacked first. Why waiting? What are you waiting for? Go to the police station, call 100 number. If 100 number does not come, or if you cannot reach to police station, police doesn't come for your help, then you can exercise right of private defense. But it's not like that you'll keep on waiting that let him come and then I'll show him. Let him attack first and I'll exercise my right of private defense. I have got all the arrangements with the stakes, lathis, guns, everything. That is not right of private defense. Okay. So if you have a time to recourse protection of public authorities, you cannot exercise right of private defense. Extent to which the right may be exercised. The right of private defense in no case extends to the inflicting of more harm than it is necessary to inflict for the purpose of defense. Okay. See, if somebody has attacked on you with a stick, with a scale, obviously you cannot exercise your right of private defense with AK-47. It should be in the ratio of the harm used against you. Okay. It should be in proportion to the force used against you. But there is one case you can note it down: Ratan Singh versus State of UP and Parichat versus State of MP, 1972 case. Parichat, Parichat versus State of MP, 1972. Ratan Singh versus State of UP and Vishwanath versus State of UP. There are 3 cases on it. So you can just write any one of them. Okay. The year is 1974, Ratan Singh versus State of UP, and Vishwanath versus State of UP. The year is 1975. So in those cases, it was held by the court that while act of private defense, you cannot measure the force that you are going to exercise on golden scale. कि उसने मुझे एक बार slap किया है, he has slapped me once, so okay, I should slap that person only twice. That is my right of private defense. No, because see, it is a matter of imminent danger. At that particular time, your only focus will be to protect your body. Yes, it should not be excessive. It should not exceed. It should not be excessive, but yes, it could be more. Obviously, if somebody has attacked on me and the person has slapped me once, I have every slap that person thrice to protect myself. I'll not do that, okay, I'll only give 1 slap and that is sufficient in right of private defense. No, if someone attacked on you, okay, somebody has attacked on you with a lathi on your head, you have got every right, there is apprehension. If the attack is repeated, there is apprehension of that, you have every right to use pistol. So what is the necessary force that should be used? It is actually a question of fact and circumstance, and it will depend upon the case and the force used against you. And if in defending your body, if you exceed your right a bit, that is justified, because in the judgment of Supreme Court, it is clearly held that how much force should be used, it cannot be measured on golden scale. Obviously, it may be, more, but it should not be excessive unreasonably. Okay, somebody has slapped you and you have shot that person dead. You said I have exercised my right of private defense. No, because it's a defensive right and it cannot be used for the purpose of retaliation or attack, right? Now you can see the explanation. A person is not deprived of the right of private defense against an act done or attempted to be done by a public servant as such, unless he knows or has reason to believe that the person doing the act is such public servant. The police officer comes in civil dress. Okay, you are asking for his ID card. He is not showing his ID card. You will have same right of private defense against that public servant if he does something wrong. Why? Because you should have reason to believe that the other person is a public servant. A police officer comes to you in civil dress, but he's accompanied by almost 6-7 other police officers in uniform. You cannot exercise right of private defense because now you have a reason to believe that he's a police officer only because they are doing the act as per his direction. So you have a reason to believe, right? Explanation 2. A person is not deprived of the right of private defense against an act done or attempted to be done by the direction of a public servant unless he knows or has a reason to believe that the person doing the act is acting by such direction, or unless such person states the authority under acts, or if he has authority in writing, unless he produces such authority you demanded. So if you ask for ID card, if you ask for authority letter and he produces it, in that case you will not exercise right of private defense. Suppose a search and seizure team of income tax has come to your place. Obviously that income tax officer will show you the warrant, will show you the search paper, search warrant, then only he'll proceed, right? If you're asking, okay, show me the paper, and he's not showing it, so you can easily say that you cannot enter into my premise. If he's trying to enter, you will have same right of private defense. One point is very important that you should highlight. Okay, there is no right of private defense. If you see this provision, there is no right of private defense against an act which does not reasonably cause the apprehension of death or of grievous hurt. Act of a public servant, you cannot exercise right of private defense as a public servant, okay, if he's acting under the color of his office in good faith. But even if he's acting in good faith under the color of his office, and it is giving a kind of apprehension that by this act your death or may be caused or grievous hurt may be caused, now you can exercise right of private defense to the same extent, because that is not allowed by the law on the part of public servant. Public servant आपकी death cause नहीं कर सकता अपना act करने में. If there is an apprehension, suppose police officer asked you something, you denied that I do not have the paper of this car. All right, he might slap you. Okay, you cannot slap back. But if he pulls out his gun and now he's saying that I'm going to shoot you for this, you will have same right of private defense even against the public servant. So if a question is asked whether you can exercise right of private defense of your body or property, as the case may be, against a public servant who is acting in good faith under the color of his office, what will be the answer? Yes, you can, if it raises an apprehension of death or grievous hurt. So ऐसा नहीं है कि public servant के against, if he is acting under the color of his office in good faith, you will have no right of private defense. You will have right of private defense if it raises an apprehension of death or grievous hurt. Even in that case, you can exercise the right of private defense. Okay, because that is not allowed by the law on the part of public servant. Am I clear to you? So that is the whole explanation of right of private defense of body. Okay. See, you might be thinking that if a question is asked on right of private defense of body, so how we are going to write all these sections? That is not required to write all the sections word to word. Like, I'll show you one thing. On section 99, what you are supposed to write is, like, suppose if section 99, so you are supposed to write a point. Okay, only a point. And the point could be, let me show you if I have got that. Now see, you can write it like this: against the act of a public servant acting in good faith, against the act of those acting under their authority or direction, where there is sufficient time for recourse to public authority, The quantum of harm that may be caused shall in no case be excess of harm that may be necessary for the purpose of defense. And your section 99 is complete. So you, rather than writing, language of Bayer Act, write it in your own language. Okay. And you are supposed to make briefs of every section. Okay. So start with the introduction, give the brief explanation of each section along with the highlighted points, then support it with 2 or 3 judgments. Okay. And then conclude your answer. That will be more than enough if you are writing an answer in your mains examination. And yes, you should have the, these technical knowledge for the purpose of answering in prelims question. So that would be all on right of private defense of body. Any questions, anyone? See, a few questions are asked on right of private defense. I'll just show you. I'll just read it rather. The questions that have been asked in examinations on right of private defense. Now see, in UP, the question asked was, discuss the right of private defense. Nothing is an offense which is done in exercise of right of private defense. Discuss. Now see, here, this question is asking you about the all provisions of right of private defense. Now, is it possible to write all the provisions of right of private defense in half an hour or in 20 minutes or 25 minutes? Because this question is asked in 20 marks. Okay. So you are supposed to write 2 or 3 pages, because more than that, it is not allowed. So what you are supposed to do is, you are only supposed to explain the crux of these sections. You're not supposed to write the Bayer Act word to word, the crux of this section. Okay. Starting with section 96, common provision you explain, then right of private defense of body you explain, then right of private defense of property you explain, and support it with few case laws. That is why I'm telling you that should have brief of the sections, okay, which consists 7 clauses, 8 clauses, or which are, large in explanation. So you should have the brief, you should have the pointers of these sections. Okay, that we'll be telling you about how to write an answer in mains if this such kind of question is asked. अब आपको सारे 10-11 सेक्शन एक्सप्लेन करने हैं, तो उसको कितने शॉर्ट में आप ब्रीफ उसको कैसे उसको लिखेंगे? Okay, that you should know, right? Now one question is there: B aimed his revolver at A. In order to save himself, A gave a Farsi blow. Farsi blow is, you can see the farsa, okay, a lethal weapon. Farsi blow on the hand of B, with the result that the revolver fell down on the ground. Thereafter, A gave another Farsi blow on the head of B, causing the instantaneous death of B. Can A justifiably claim the right of private defense of body in causing death of B? Now, simply, it is a question on limitation to right of private defense of body and commencement and continuation of right to private defense of body. This question has been asked in RGS examination mains. Now see, it is very easy. Here you don't have to explain all these sections. Okay, how you are supposed to answer this question, I'll tell you. Now, whenever you have to answer a problem-based question, you don't have to start writing directly from the problem. First, you will have to quote the provision, which provision it is talking about. And in every answer of right of private defense, first you are supposed to put section 96, that is, as per section 96, nothing is an offense which is done in exercise of right of private defense. Okay, right of private defense as provided under chapter 4 of IPC, Indian Penal Code 1860, provides that as per section 97 clause 1, in simple language you can write, because you are telling the scope. As per section 97 clause 1, every person has a right to defend his own body and the body of any other person against any offense affecting human body. Okay, now you will give the reference of problem, that in the given problem, B aimed his revolver at A. So that gives a reasonable apprehension of death. Reasonable apprehension of, see here you don't have to quote whole section 100. Reasonable apprehension of death, and that is covered in the first clause of section 100 of IPC that says that, now you can quote this point, that says the right of private defense of body extension mentioned in the last preceding section to the voluntary causing of death, and you can just underline voluntary causing of death, or of any other harm to the assailant if the offense which will occasion the exercise be of any of the descriptions. It is very well covered in the clause of section 100. Okay, then you will have to explain that A, while exercising his right under section 100 clause 1, 100 clause 1 has given a Farsi blow on the hand of B, which result with the result that the revolver fell down on the ground. Now you will have to mention section 102, that when the revolver fell down on the ground, there is no apprehension of danger to the body to the extent of causing death from the side of A. So from the side of B. Why? Because the revolver on ground. Okay. Had it been a situation that B again tried to, take out the pistol, take the pistol, and then again try to shoot you, then in that case, your same right of private defense will continue. But since now, big injury that you have given, A has given, when the pistol fell down on ground, so now he is not in a situation to give you that reasonable apprehension of death. So here, giving another blow to a person who is without the weapon and who is already injured, it results into the violation of section 99, the limitation that is given, that says that the right of private defense, this one, the right of private defense in no case extends to the inflicting of more harm than it is necessary to inflict for the purpose of defense. So here, when A was not in a situation, B was not in a situation to, to give you the threat with his revolver, giving another Farsi blow is exceeding the right of private defense. And that is why with respect to the second blow, act of A is not justified and it will exceed the right of private defense. And he will be liable for the second blow. See, you don't have to कि वो इस सेक्शन में लाइबल होगा, इस सेक्शन में लाइबल होगा, नहीं, वो नहीं पूछ रहा है आपसे, वो बस पूछ रहा है कि उसकी लाइबिलिटी बताइए, क्या जस्टिफाइड है वो. With respect to first blow, he is justified under section 100 clause 1. With respect to second blow, he is not justified. He has exceeded his right of private defense. And your question will be answered. And just support the, this answer with the case law. You can give the case law of Vishwanath versus UP, Ratan Singh versus UP, okay, or Parichat versus State of MP. That it is given that you cannot measure the force on golden scale, but it should not be excessive. It should not be excessive. And that is why when the person becomes weaponless, you are not supposed to cause grievous hurt again, unless there is an apprehension. So see, you have quoted the section in your language. Examiner will get to know, yes, these are the sections, and student knows all about the section. That is how you are supposed to answer. Okay. So that would be all. Any question? Anyone from you? You can ask the question now, please. Any question, anyone? Is there any question? You can raise your hand, or I'll give you unmute right. Yes, you have got the unmute right. You can. Nidhi Sharma, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, sir. सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जैसे हम लोग रोड पे चल रहे हैं और कोई गलती से धक्का दे दे, तो उसके बदले में सामने वाले को ऐसा लगे कि नहीं, उसने मुझे जानबूझ के धक्का दिए मुझे गिराने के लिए, और वो उसके बदले में फिर उसको मारे, तो क्या यहाँ पे राइट ऑफ प्राइवेट डिफेंस लगेगा?
See, your question is that you are going on road and somebody has pushed you from behind, right? Now, when somebody has pushed you from behind and you fell on ground, now the offense is already committed. This right of private defense is available to you to defend your body from the offense. Here the offense is committed.
Sir.
Now the action you could not prevent. If from the next time he is again going to push you, or he is again going to cause some, kind of criminal force or assault he is going to do, then you can exercise right of private defense. Otherwise, you have got a right to complain. ओके अगर
Okay,
आपको
sir.
कोई इंजरी हुई है तो आप कंप्लेंट कीजिए. अब वहां राइट ऑफ प्राइवेट डिफेंस आप कैसे एक्सरसाइज करेंगे? एक्ट तो हो गया ना, उसने कर दिया. Yes, if
Yes.
there is apprehension that again he might repeat the act, you will get the right of private defense. You can exercise the force that is required for the purpose of.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Anybody else? Any other question? Anyone? So that would be all for the day. Thank you so much. And for more updates, kindly visit our website, yourlordships.in. Thank you.